All right, what's up, guys? So it's late on Sunday, and I will do a portfolio update. Now, just to cover what happened on Friday, there was inflation numbers that came out, and as usual, there's that whipsaw. So everything goes one way, and then it totally reverses. You can see it in the DXY, or you can see it across the board. But what matters, and this is what I said, it's where the market closes. It's where the close of day and what the daily candle looks like. This is still pretty indecisive to me. We're looking at the DXY. I think it's becoming more relevant again. That's why I always look at the DXY anyway, but it is becoming more relevant again. You can see there's a decision that's coming imminently. At one point, we're going to either break out, close above 105 point something, or break down, which a close below 104 would kind of guarantee it. But one way or the other, and that's a very, very short trading range, something's going to break out. And if it breaks out to the upside, then up we go to 106, maybe 107, very important. But I think 106 will be just as important because, I mean, if you take this out, if you close above 106.5, you're obviously going to go much higher. And if you don't, then who knows, we come back down. We'll see. We'll see what happens with the DXY. It's still inconclusive. Now, yields are more important, I reckon. And if I had to guess which way it's going to go, although we have an ascending, which is the weakest trend line, I feel like it's a breakout to the upside. I feel like all the rate cuts, they've been discounted and now it's about rate hikes. So looking at the 2 year, it's all about this close here above 5.05 but now they've all got the same sort of chart pattern, the 30, the 10, the 5, they've all sort of caught up with one another. And let's see which way they break out or break down. But I feel like a breakout would make more sense. Now all the rate cuts are off the table, and then it's back to where we were last year, right? When everything was going up back to its highs. And that could coincide with a bit of a market crash. It's going to be too dramatic, but the market's gone up non-stop. And the one ETF I'm really looking at are the regional banks, because those are the ones that are really susceptible to high rates. So, they haven't gone to new all-time highs, have they? They've just sort of rallied a little bit, but compared to the S&P and the Nasdaq, not much. And what happens if we close below this 46 zone? We go back down here. What's that? Well, that's the ascending long term, well, medium term. That's the weakest chart pattern. You go here, you know, this is really what I'm thinking. If rates go up, obviously not in one go, but and oh yes, we'll have a bounce, but then back to COVID lows. And then we'll see what happens to the general markets. I think they're up because of inflation. I think everyone can kind of agree that it makes no sense for the markets to go up as much as they have. It's just inflation being priced in. Well, here rate hikes, banks can still go down with regardless of inflation. So something to look out for, right? DXY yields especially, and the banks, I think, are the most fragile ones. All right, let's move to gold and silver straight away. Now, gold, bad close on Friday. Again, it's that whipsaw move, up, down. Where do we close? We close down. Let's go back to the daily. I mean, that's all you need to know. It was in the end down. We closed pretty much on the trend line, right? This here, 23.20, let's call it. It still didn't flush below it, but it looks like we want to go lower, right? You could go to 2300. That's a bit of a psychological number. But it's 2280 that I see as support. We could do what I thought we might have done last week, which is kind of curl just above this one here. I mean, we made a higher high than here. So we could make a higher low here. And also it's a psychological number. So it could just curl. But since it was like it's so nearby where we just closed, it could actually end up being a 2280. But regardless, even if let's say we go to 2280, we'll bounce a little bit. Let's say we flush it. Next, we have quite a few support zones. Got 2200 psychological and technical. And then we've got over here 2150 technical, not just from the horizontal, but the ascending. So we have quite a few areas of support. I don't think we would ever go lower. Ever is a strong word, but I just don't see it happening. This should be really strong support, but I feel like you can't really go below 2200, can you? No, I just don't see it happening. All right, but gold point is we've got several points of support. Let's see what happens. Again, the yields going up, dollar going up, but especially the yields may have an effect. Silver, big drop. Now, before I forget, Friday was a good day for miners. I mean, Silver was down, what was it, 2.5% or something? 2.5, almost 3%. We could probably tell actually. What was the close on Thursday there? Yeah, 2.5% at 1.3. That's a big drop. And the miners, not even 0.5%. We'll get to the miners. That's a fantastic day. I'd take that every day of the week. I'd love like 10 days in a row of something like that, where silver just goes down 20% and the miners are down 4 or 5. Amazing. Because I own a lot more of miners than I do, money in gold and silver. So first of all, we've got the support here for silver, 30, big, huge, round number, psychological and technical, and it kind of coincides with gold having its sort of 2300, 2280 just below where it closed. So this should be support number one. Support number two is 29. Keep it simple. Next round number, also a bit of resistance from over here. And then after that, a bit like gold, you have a strong ascending support, and it's also around number 28. So very simple, 30, 29, 28, 28 especially strong. I don't see us going to 28. I can see something like a bounce to, a move to 29, but viciously bought up, nice hammer, and then it looks like it's ready to go to 32 again. One of those really strong hammers. That would be a healthy, I would welcome that, especially if the miners are going to go down as little as they did correspondingly. Let's look at the miners. GDXJ still holding their ascending, still outperforming the metals here on the way down as well as the way up before. Nothing to say here. It's still the same. Now, let's say we start to flush because gold and silver go down. I find it very difficult to tell where support will be. I think I would just judge it on the metals. I don't even want to start drawing lines because I've looked at it already. And you could say 44, but it's so soon. Here, right, you can see there's sort of resistance from here to there. There's no real support, but it's a round number. You could say 43, 42, not really, 41, not really, 40. I don't really want to ruin the chart just for plucking numbers out of thin air. I just feel like 43, if anything. It's also a bit of a nice halfway house between, you know, where we are to obvious support, which is 40. Just like GDX, by the way, has its obvious support at sorry, where's the obvious support at 32? Yeah, 35, 32. I see here I do have that horizontal. There you go. SILJ, similar stuff. Decision time imminent. 12, that's a bit more obvious support, but it's so close to where we were. It'd be nice if you had just a short dip and then board up again and you're straight back into this steep ascending. Let's see. I think it really does just depend on the metals. So just keep it simple, follow the metals, and that's it. Maybe the yields have an effect. I don't see us going this low. Right, with that said, let's get straight to the portfolio. And the miners, like Newmont, generally follow the GDX anyway. What do we have here? So if we lose ascending 41, after that 40, after that 38 gap fill, I don't see us going below that. But if we do 37, it's quite simple now. It's really just the big round numbers, thankfully. But Newmont's doing all right. Also had a green day, right? Silver down 2.5%, 3%, and Newmont is green. That's outperformance. Barrick Gold really has not risen as much as its peers. This one should really, I mean, if this one flushes anymore, which it might, right? It has to kind of go down if the metals flush. Imagine next support zone really is 1620s, pretty much on support here at 17. If you lose that 1620s, I mean, that's really cheap. Right, look at that. Before the February rally, we were at 14. That's not too far away from the first support zone after we lose this one. After that, 15.5. That's, I mean, I just don't see it going that far down. Otherwise, on the way up, 18, 19, 20. It's really quite simple with Barrick. Agnico Eagle. Now, this one, I'm starting to hesitate because it's got up quite a lot. Still pretty strong, though. I mean, it's down 0.5%. That's not that bad for a poor silver day. Well, first of all, it's got to lose its immediate support, which, yeah, I've put it 6.6. The devil's floor over here. If we lose that, maybe 64. It's a long way down to 60. That's 10%. I don't know. I just don't know. I just find it quite hard to read this And many of the charts are quite hard to read because they're just climbing a wall of worry, and it's just no obvious resistance on the way up, so no obvious support on the way down. And round numbers, I don't like to just go through all of them. Maybe 64, I see something here with resistance, but not really. I would just leave it, watch the metals. On the way up, obviously the prior high 71.5. After that, 74. Why is it 74? Because of this over here, yes. But Newmont, by the way, I'm just starting to think it's not just, sorry, not just Newmont, all the seniors. I feel like clipping them a little bit. I'm really heavy. And I remember once you start not worrying, but once you start to think about your positions a bit too much, it's because you're uneasy about how much you have in them, whether it's too little or too much. I feel like it's too much. And I want to have that invincible feeling where if it goes up, I'm happy, and if it goes down, I'm happy. And right now, I don't have that. I have that, oh, I hope it goes up because I'm really heavy in it. And that suggests I need to clip them a little bit. So Agnico, all of them actually, but especially Agnico because it's gone up so much. You know, when you compare it to Barrick, for example, that really hasn't gone up that much. Something I've got to maybe do on Monday. I might clip them. I would love it to all reverse and go higher. I say reverse, it hasn't gone down much, but if they all pump, I can see myself clipping quite a bit, like 10% or something. Usually I'm doing 2.5, just absolutely tiny stuff, nibbling. But here I feel like doing a heavy 10%. Who knows, maybe even more. But anyway, Agnico, watch the metals on the way down, on the way up. It's really the old high, 71.5, 74. I don't see much more than that happening next week. Pan American Silver is just super strong still. I mean, look, this is a silver stock, right? At least by name. And you got silver down 2.5%. This thing's down 1%. That's immense outperformance. On the way down, so many support levels. First one is 20, actually, yeah. The first one actually would be here, little gap fill zones that is done 21.5. After that, 20.7. After that, probably 19.5, 20. Normally 20 would be, but actually I don't see that. Go straight to 19.5-ish. May have to bring this up. Could play a role. But I don't see much downside after that. Very strong support though in the 19.5 and just below. On the way up, take out your 22.7 and then off you go to 24, 26, 28. We'll see about that. Very strong. Again, another one, all of them actually, I looked at my portfolio and I just feel like clipping every single stock a little bit. That's the kind of just in proportion, take out like 10, 15, max 20%. And then I'm just happy. If they go down, I'm very happy, of course, because I just took out a lot. For me, that's a lot. And if it goes up, well, I have enough in them to still feel, a nice portfolio value increase. All right, SSRM. Now this one really, again, mentioned it a few times. This one here just does its own thing. It wasn't a big, well, it wasn't a big drop in the miners, but it was a big drop in silver. But again, this one just does its own thing. Absolute opposite day. It's up 1.5%. Pretty good with silver down almost 3%. For me, this is clear support, 520. If we lose that, I see 495. If we lose that, I need to, I need to just check the silver and gold chart at that point because it's not too obvious where it would be. I don't see that happening next week anyway. On the way up, there's something at 560. You can see that we've hit that many times. One day we closed above, but otherwise it was always touching and closing below. Otherwise, just here, $6. I'm not going to put 560 in because I'm not going to trade that 560. But yeah, that's what I've got for SSRM. Next one, Wheaton has lost the ascending. This is the all-time high, so it makes sense that that was clear resistance. We do have support here. You can see it's a bit clearer than some of the other charts with ascending support. You can see the resistance there and then the support there. So, and we pretty much tested it already on Friday, you can say. Not a great day for Wheaton, down 2%. It's a defensive senior, so it doesn't go down as much as the others, but this time it did. So it didn't really outperform on the way down as many of the others did. Next, if it does lose this 54 zone, especially if it closes below 54, no, I don't see that as being anything. Then yeah, 51. 51, it was resistance here. You can see acted slightly as resistance and as support there. 51. Yeah, okay. I won't pay too much attention to it. Again, gold and silver will probably play a bigger role than the actual chart I have for Wheaton, to be honest. Next one is Franco Nevada. Okay, now this one here has not reclaimed the ascending. Then I can take this out now. Let's play this role. You can see the ascending is acting as resistance now that it's below it. So on the way up, obviously 130, big round number, and already technical resistance. After that, we move up to 140. Now on the way down, and I can tell that I'm talking about the support levels on the way down. That's what I'm more likely. That's what I think will be more relevant next week, actually. So once we close below 120, because that's kind of support now. It's hard to tell, isn't it? Let's say 120, basically the low of this candle here. And after that, well, I guess it's down here, 114, with the possibility of bouncing in between. Very hard to call these now. Just so much zigzagging over here. It's not very clear. Right, Metalla. Ah, this one. This one really needed the catalyst to get above 350 and then it could sprint up. Unfortunately, the market wasn't favorable, neither were the metals, so it had to retreat. It wasn't the best day, but it's okay. It's outperformed quite a few recently. So this is not a very strict level. This is just kind of middle of the range, but it was a bit of resistance here. It's kind of irrelevant now, actually. So I'll take it off. Support on the way down is 290. With $3 active support, maybe intraday, probably bounce at 3. But if it gets weak, the whole sector gets weak, it could go as low as 390, even to 80. But I'm calling sort of, I don't want to say 285, but just below 290 as support. And resistance is clearly 350. It's actually just below that too. And that's all I'll do. No point in trying to guess a little range in between that. Those are the strong and obvious ones. I'll let gold and silver decide if there's a reversal coming. So yeah, very clear. That one's very clear. Right, let's get to the silver ones first. Majestic, you can see it's losing, it's ascending. That again is not bad, not even down 1% with silver down 2.5. So it is very bullish. Yeah, it's bullish price action, to be honest. Now, if we accelerate the move down in gold and silver, this has to follow $7 is your first level. Just the low from last week, let's say, or just this local area. Also a psychological number. If you lose $7, down you go, probably 660, 640, and 620. I'm gonna say 660. I see something there. 650, 660. Go on. I usually wouldn't, but this time. And then the low of 620, let's say, and then well, I don't see it going as far as 580. That's a pretty big stretch. And on the way up, yeah, I would keep that. 760, take out the high of last week, and then up you go to 8, and then the rest is history. Right, let's look at some of the other strong silver stocks. It's just so strong. Where's my ascending support? Maybe it's breached it already. I should have that. Right, I mean, this is just so strong. Remember, silver down almost 3% by the close, and it's all the way up here flagging. This wants to go higher. And imagine silver just bounces up 1% on Monday, which is totally acceptable. I mean, this will just make a new high and go to probably 680 or something. It's incredible. It really is. It's filled the gap over here. Next stop, 660, 680, $7. Yeah, I see I'm just looking at resistance, not even looking at support. Right, well let's look at support anyway, because I do feel like if it goes up, great, I'll just trim off, you know, wherever I feel like it's going to fade out on the intraday, on the 3 minute intraday, I'll just say, okay, this is the top. Let me just take off 10% here. If it starts to go down, well, 610 will be level of support because that's the high of the last couple of trading days. What is that? Monday is that big move up, and that's Friday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah, no, Friday. Ah, Monday was off. That's why. Okay, anyway, so 610 actually is level of support. That can go quickly. Down we go. I guess $6. That's the same thing. Yeah, $6. All right, 6 to 610, same thing. This in this entire area. After that, 560 to 548. Let's call it 550. Why do I have that line? Yes, 550. Okay. So basically 6 to 610, then 550, but it's really 560. And then the ascending. Although the ascending will probably coincide here with 560. Yes, something like that. I should really put the yellow tag on all of them. Now, I don't see us going as far as $5. That's a big drop, and this is a very strong stock. And we have the ascending support to lose. So this is highly unrealistic for next week, unless there really is a flush in the metals, which I just don't see that happening right now. Yeah, that's it. Fortuna is probably the strongest silver stock, actually. Talking of strong silver stocks, CDE, usually the best. It's just been overshadowed by Fortune and probably EXK a little bit, but otherwise fantastic. It also had a few green days when it was red, but that was not the case on Friday. But you can see we actually made a new high on Friday before the reversal. So $6 is resistance. This one I need to clip. This one's worth more than all the other silver stocks. And it would be a shame to not clip it up here. Again, I don't mind if they keep running after I clip it, but I just feel like I really should do it. It's a conversation I had with myself the whole week when I was just walking outside, actually in my own thoughts. Support levels, it's too many in this stock. So resistance is 6. After that, we just go high. I think it's 750. Yeah, that's the next one. And that is all the way from over here, but that's not going to happen next week. On the downside, you could say 550. Could say 530. The ascending is there too. I feel like 530 might be a bit of a level. It's that little gap fill. And then it bounced and went back up to $6. And if we were to go down there in 1, maybe 2 days, you're hitting ascending support. So I'm going to take away 550, actually. I'm going to say 530 instead. Again, the horizontal and the ascending. Now, if you lose that, then yes, this area I could see candle 1, candle 2 here and here. And it's $5. I didn't even notice that. Yes, definitely. After that, we're not going to go down here, but I probably would say 440, but I'll just leave it as it is. Gold and silver will do the talking for me as to when it will curl and go back up. So that's all I'll have for Curl Darlene. Next one is EXK, another fantastic one. Yes, I like that there. Then it gaps up, close the gap. It closed the gap actually on Friday, 388. Let's call it 390. That's your support number 1. If we lose that, it's going to be 360 slash gap fill at 350. Let's call it 350. I should really mark these actually. Number 1, number 2. And then after that, it's going to be, yeah, it's going to be the ascending. Just above 3. It's not going from 4 to 3. Too strong. But there you go. And on the way up, takes out 420. And then off it runs to next support over here, 450 roughly. And it could do that, it could have a little surprise 1% move up in silver, 2%, who knows? And then up you go back to the highs. I would love to clip this up here. Forgot what my last sell is actually. I forgot where it was. Very strong though, very strong. EXK, I think Fortuna is number 1, EXK number 2, and then CDE number 3 out of the silver stocks. Pan American Silver, I consider that a senior, but that one's probably up there too. All right, Mag, silver is the next silver stock, which I added to really recently, and now I'm talking about selling. I've really been a bit like yeah, of two minds, let's say. One day, and it's not very professional to be honest, to just one day say, oh, I should buy more, and the next day to hesitate. It proves that I'm getting a bit emotional, I think, in some of these because I'm loving the profit, but yeah, when I sober up from the emotions, I feel like I should just trim it down so that just in case it goes down, I don't give away too many of the profits. And I've been down this road so many times, and I think I should just stick to this sober decision now where I say, okay, trim it. Even if you're selling what you just bought yesterday, even if some of them are at a loss, I don't care about that. I don't suffer from that issue where I can't sell something, otherwise I lock in a loss. The value is what the value currently is anyway. It doesn't matter if you lock it in or not. It's totally irrelevant. But anyway, I'll let you know what happens. I prefer to sell, obviously, if it was a green day, but I don't mind doing if it's a red day, just for that more strategic, zoomed out um investment management, risk reward management. I don't want to take too much of a zoomed in tactical approach. Just if I need to sell 10,000, let's say $2,000 worth of Newmont, then it is what it is. It doesn't matter if I do it here at this price or if I do it at 30 cents lower. This is like for more of a long-term effect. So yeah, I'll let you guys know what I do. Okay, Mag Silver. It's hitting some support, 1330. That was resistance previously. Well, that's kind of been nullified because we came back down here anyway. Yeah, that's why it was resistance. Okay, it's done that. Once we lose that, they got the ascending. I agree with that. Let's see. Maybe I can just rearrange this. Okay, so support number one, support number two, very close to one another anyway. Support number three, I would say, is here from these. This is like 2 weeks worth of lows. 1220 after that down here. I don't see us going that far. I'll mark it anyway. On the way up, we take out this 1450. Up we run to, I think it's 17. Yeah, 17. Bam. Maybe not in one go. Probably stop off here at 1580 or something. Let's mark it anyway. Next one, I am gold. Oh, sorry, ARMN, which surprises me so much because, first of all, it's just had an incredible run. It started this run before the miners took off, so it's outperformed ages ago. It was outperforming a long time ago, and then it sort of, lost its outperformance. It even underperformed a little bit. But here we go. Look at this. It has bad news. I forgot if it's dilution or poor earnings, whatever. It has bad news. Down it goes. It was like 12% from 450 next day to 390. And then up it goes. I trimmed some here at 320, 319, I think it was. And then here we are, 1.5, 2 weeks later, making new highs with silver down. I just don't understand it, but beautiful stuff. This one I'm in no hurry to trim because I already trimmed a little bit. But next stop is, and yes, here I'm talking about the move up because it's that strong. I mean, look at that. Look at that close. 480. And after 480, you've only got that 660. Now we probably won't get there in one go. We'll probably stop off at 520 and maybe $6 or something. But it's really clear skies after 480. And I think we're going to get to 480 next week, almost regardless of what happens in the markets. It's doing its own thing. So yeah. Now on the way down, honestly, I'm not even going to mark anything because I've sold already at 419. I wouldn't really buy unless it gets to 390, but I wouldn't do that anyway. I just consider it. So is this a level? Yes, it is. I think the levels are marked. They're correct. And I also think it's just going to go up. So I'm ready to trim at 479, 478, put it that way next week. Next one is I am gold. Yeah. So this one had, I think it was dilution. That was the big drop. I picked some up there and it's kind of just gone sideways a little bit. You can see the resistance here at 416. The support is pretty clear around 486, 485. The ascending has been lost. I could even delete it. I'll leave it another week, but yeah, once we close below 384, let's say, down we go to 350. At which point, and then we also have 330. Yes, I can understand why I have that there. And I can understand 320. These are just mini stop-off points on the way down, and then 290, which is where I pretty much bought. I was buying at 295 and 305. My average is $3. I don't see it going down too much. I know it had dilution, but otherwise it's great stock, great company. But 350 is possible. Now on the way up, there's that gap to fill. So actually, just before we get to 450, you could encounter resistance around 445. Otherwise, 460. Lots of lines here, but I can read through it. It's no problem. So, and this one is average position. I'm not too heavy. Like the silver ones, I'm a bit heavy. The seniors, I'm very heavy. But these down here, they're sort of average. They're less than the silvers. So I'm not really too worried about that. B2 Gold, my latest position, this one I've got an average of like 282. And I'm full position in this one. And it's probably going to flush, but I don't mind. This is, again, a long-term thing. So we got around 273-ish, some support, right? The low from these last 2, 3 weeks. Once we close below, if we close below that, then we could flush down to 250, which should be very, very strong support. These are the all-time lows. It'd be very surprising to see it back down there, but that's what it can do because it hasn't really broken out. It started to look really strong, but this is when now we're going sideways a bit in the metals. So it's just a victim of its late rally and now of the metals final the fact that the metals are now finally stalling a little bit. So it's just bad luck, let's say. So it could end up flushing just on technicals to 250. I don't know if I'd pick some up. I've actually done my full position here, but I could add a tiny bit here just because I really think it would bounce from here. But that's all. I have a 273-ish and 250. I don't see it going down to the COVID low ascending, but if it does, it's 240. And I think it will be bought by a lot of institutions down here. I really do. That should be very strong support. Resistance is just the descending. That's it. If you take it out, yes, I guess you could also say $3. It's psychological and it's the horizontal. So plus the descending is pretty much 293. It's pretty much the same thing as $3. So $3 is the only level of resistance you need to close above. Here we popped our head above. We never closed above it, and it ended up being a red day, I think. So that was a bearish candle. So a $3 close, bam, it goes straight to 340. It's like 10-15% straight away. And I think this is ready for such a move. It just needs the right catalyst. All right, Equinox, this one, I don't know what my average is, 5 something down here-ish, pretty much where we are actually. So support, honestly, support is just what I've got here, 520 or even $5. I don't know. I guess that's why I left it at 510-ish, 515. It's just this entire zone. This is your buy zone. And if it does go down, it'll probably pop back up just like these candles did. So who knows, it could be 521. So that's your support. Your resistance, of course, here. The next one is going to be 640 or even here. Now, if you start to lose $5, which I don't see that happening, then down here and then down here. And I just don't see that happening. Let's reset the chart to see what it would look like. No, that's not what's going to happen at all. So 512, and I wouldn't buy this either because that's where I bought. So I'm only interested if it goes below that. But if it goes below, if it goes all the way down here to 460, then something crazy is happening in the metals, and I'm probably buying something else. Or I might be selling at, well, at that point I'd be looking at a lot more than just Equinox. So that's not a guarantee that I'd be buying at 460, but that should be a good support zone. Next one is the last one, SBSW. Since I'm just covering my portfolio, this is really, I should be looking at platinum palladium for this one. For me, it's very, very clear that 590 is resistance, even 580. Let's call it 585 or something. Support, yes, I agree. 460 is support. You can see it curling off there. Otherwise, absolute, last support zone is $4. I don't see us going there. I feel like, you got this low down here, and then you got triple top, one, two, three. I feel like it's just gonna go like that and scream up. I really do. But again, you need the metals to help you out. If you don't, then 460 is your support. I wouldn't be adding a 460. I wouldn't even be adding at four. I've kind of got my I don't know what my average is, $5. I think it's just below $5 actually. You know, it's all the same thing. This entire range, even though it's big percentage moves, 40, wow, that's quite a lot. 44%, 45% move between the low range and the high range. It's still the same thing. This entire area is just one entire area for me, because in 7 months it's here. That's what I think. And that is a real move. And that's not even the full move. That's that's like 150%. So I'm not trading this range here. I probably should have, could have, but I'm just not doing. I'm looking for a bit more of a longer term approach. So there you go. Those are the levels I'm looking at. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that was a bit faster than my usual portfolio updates. It's just a bit late, and I just wanted to try and do a fast one this time. But I will let you know what I do. I just feel like I'm a bit heavy in the minors. And again, recently I added to some like B2 Gold. I just went just did a full position in that pretty much. And I'm just thinking about it. I think if the miners go down, that could hurt my portfolio a bit. All that profit, those new highs, it's like, new all-time highs for my portfolio, the value. And I don't want to give it all back or even too much of it back. I think if I just sell a little bit, if I just clip 10, even 20% off each stock, that's it. I'm good. Like, I'd be very happy if it goes down. And if it goes up, I'll still be making a lot of money. So yeah, hopefully Monday we're green, even Tuesday, and I'll be trimming all of them at their highs or near their highs. That would be ideal. But let's see what happens. I'll keep you up to date. Otherwise, enjoy, good luck, etc. Have a good week.